Jam. They're a thing. You got a competition with a theme, a group of devs, and you go out and make them create something in under a set time limit so they can get their creative juices flowing and put something out into the world. Although more often than not, these games are just short one-offs left to fade into the abyss, some games get more recognition than others. And no, I'm not just talking about the winners here, I'm talking about when the internet picks it up and gives it its pure unbridled attention. And sometimes they get picked up once more by its creator and turned into a full-fledged game. Like, did you know that Hollow Knight was a Game Jam game? It was made for London Dare 27 under the name Hungry Knight, and it's still on Newgrounds. And it wasn't even received well back when it was released. Tell that to the folks waiting for Silk Song. But that made me curious. What are some games out there that deserve some good old internet pampering? What are some Game Jam games that should get a full release? That deserve another chance to not only expand on its themes and ideas, but also turn into full-fledged experiences beyond their short time frame? Well, that's what we're here for today. But first, I should probably mention, for those of you new to my channel, first of all, subscribe, it helps me out. But also, if you look at my channel for even a second, you may notice I have a particular interest in horror games. So just so you're aware right off the bat, a good chunk of these entries will probably be horror. That being said, there are a few standout hits I really want to mention. I just wanted to point out my biases from the get-go. Also, if you see my best twist video, you might think I'll be including Snowball City on this list. But for the sake of variety, I'll not include it here because that'd be boring. Anyways, without further ado, let's go on to the top 8 Game Jam games that deserve another chance. Number 8. A Mall Near You from Advent 3 Necrosis. A Mall Near You is a Game Jam game where you play as a kid sent to the mall by your neglectful parents to return several items so they can get gifts for the holidays. However, you're there right before closing and must make do with the few stores that are open, solving puzzles to get more than your fair share of gifts, scrounging the trash, helping old men find big coin, and teaching furniture salesmen some sweet kickflips. There's a total of 10 gifts you can get, ranging from chips to cardboard cutouts of celebrities, though the game is almost escape room-esque in its puzzle design, with everything being intertwined with one another. You'll try to return a sponge only to find you can't because it sucks water too well. Then you'll find an old man who wants some big coin, but it's down in the water, and a janitor who wants a wet sponge. So you'll drain the whole fountain with your sponge to get the coin. Give the sponge to the janitor who'll give you a crowbar to commit shoplifting with, and give the old man his coin to get a blank check for a goofy amount of money. And also steal the coin back because we hate capitalism and elderly people. Back to the old folks home, people! The game itself is more of a puzzle game than a horror game, having more of a horror atmosphere and a brief fake out, but no actual horror, unless you count the child neglect. Although the story is pretty well enclosed on its own, it could be cool if it was turned into a sort of multi-day choices matter kind of puzzle game, where you have to strategize and plan what items to use and when to try and get the biggest bang for your buck. Like maybe you have an item to return that if you hold off on trading in, then you can use it on a future day to get something even better. Or maybe getting certain items like the crowbar can be used to access inaccessible areas, but you have to pick and choose what area will be the best place to use it to either get the most profitable or the most useful items. Either way, I think this idea has a lot of potential for a full release if the dev wanted to bring the idea back. Number 7. Vordier for the London Dare 55. Here's another one. Vordier is a very clever puzzle game created under 48 hours by Daniel Mullins, the creator of Pony Island and Inscription. The game has you playing as the real-life Irish prosecutor Peter O'Brien, more commonly known as Peter the Packer. Your job is to properly pick your jury to ensure you have the needed amount of guilty votes in order to get people convicted. You pick from a randomized selection below, with every juror having a special ability that can either help or hurt you, depending on how you combine them with the others. On top of this, each trial has something unique about it, like the guy who killed Lincoln Ranley assassinating your jury members, or Mickey Mouse, legally distinct Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse, who adds random horses onto your jury who automatically will vote innocent unless you use the abilities of other jurors to change that. The game ends with you having to defend yourself against charges of jury packing. Changing out by making you sway the vote to innocent rather than guilty. It's a fun little game, though it's depressingly short, only having 4 levels if you count the tutorial, which is a shame because if it had more levels, I think it could be a really fun time. The game is only 20 minutes, which is understandable given it was made in less than 2 days, though I really hope they expand it into its own complete game with more trials and trickier levels. Number 6. The The Salvation Project for the HPS-1 Summer of Shivers. The Salvation Project is a horror game made in 48 days that satirizes the satanic panic seen in the 1980s and 1990s. You play as a concerned parent, Karen, as you watch the public service announcement each day and follow it to a T. These PSAs are ran by a legally ambiguous Muppet named Seth, who informs people how to best protect their homes from Satanism. Each day you'll go through destroying your son's D&D books, turning on all the lights, and on the third day you'll find Seth as a real non-puppet person, who reassures us that he'll watch over us in our sleep. The next day, we are demanded to board up our doors, our windows, cover up our mirrors, and uninvert all our crosses, all the while a demon roams our home, which Seth vehemently denies. On the last day, the TV talks directly to us.
You are under attack! Your life is under attack! Your soul is under attack!
And so we are demanded to go and complete a ritual to summon a guardian angel to protect our home, which, as I'm sure you could guess, summons a demon, which promptly kills us. Or at least it would. However, we abruptly wake up to a phone ringing, to which it's revealed that we were experiencing hysteria and stopped taking our prescribed medication, ending where we simply admit that we need help and we want to see our family again. It has a fantastic build-up, but I'd love to see it expand even further somehow. It'd be great to have an even longer experience with more choices and endings to make, as the game is rather linear, and given its themes of mental illness and being lost religion, I think it could really land itself well to the type of game where every little thing mattered, where Seth's dialogue changes if you hesitated, or where the demon you see more closely resembles whatever fear you picked at the start. Or heck, I think it's one of the few games that could make the whole game shows your real name for the computer thing, commonly seen in EXE games, actually work. Point being, I hope it makes a comeback. Number 5. Oh my god, look at this night. Well, okay, I should explain myself. This game is technically not a Game Jam game. But hear me out. Although not being for a set contest, this game still very much was put under the same circumstances as a Game Jam game. It's extremely short, it was made by an indie developer, and it was made in a very short time frame to test their skill. Plus, back during my worst twist video, a lot of people got mad at me for not including Game Jam games while still having Let's Find Larry on it, because a lot of people said that it might have a short dev time too, and therefore was unfair. So by all means, if you could have that victory, at least let me have this one, okay? Deal. Not to mention I, much like all these other entries, think this should be extended to a full-fledged release. Either way, oh my god, look at this tonight, follows a yellow duck who's seeking to become the hero of this village. Throughout the game, you help as many townsfolk as you can. Farmers arguing because they only need one scarecrow and yet their friend made 10? Well, just smash all the scarecrows. Chickens escaped? Well, just stab them. They can't leave their coop if they're dead. Cortez is confused why they all planted different plants and yet only cabbages grew? Just quash all the cabbages.
My cabbages!
Unfortunately, you find that the townspeople are less than grateful for your efforts, as many of them will fight you for destroying their things. Well, what do they know? I've got the valor, I've got the honor. They just don't understand a real knight when they see one. I guess knight guides really do finish last. Eventually, this leads to a town meeting where they decide the only way to drive the evil knight from the town is to stick Mikhail on them, this bulbous bird that throws rocks at you and will charge into you, with you having to get them to hit the gate whilst also ensuring the rocks don't block his path from charging into it. Do this 3 times and we get a small cutscene about him downing himself before going to the next village, and credits roll. If this game just had more, I'd be so happy. Like, have the knight travel to more places, more villages, and have them slowly realize what it takes to be a real knight until eventually they find their place or die trying. Heck, make it a multi-ending deal where you can either earn your valor by learning to do things the right way, or sow chaos until the real knights have to stop you. I can really see it becoming something almost in similar vein to Dude Stop, where there are differences depending on if you do things the right way or the wrong way. But with it being several years old, it seems I can only dream. Number 4. Peep Adventures from the Haunted PS1 demo disc. From the creator behind Let's Go Baby Friends World, Peep Adventures is, well, Johnny had to get the fever dream part of his name from somewhere, right? The game is a surrealist platformer where you play as the lovable Peep as you use your grappling hook to explore the world, collecting bananas and committing acts of debatable morality. Story-wise, the game was abandoned a long time ago, and a now sentient glitch known as Ent01 has taken it upon themselves to attempt to reshape and fix the world. However, with Peep being the protagonist, their goal is to get the crown, which, if they do, will reset Ent's progress. So instead, they throw you into the worlds of the creator's other games while you try try and figure out a way to defeat him, which is, unfortunately, where the demo ends. As common as grappling hook mechanics are, the game uses the grappling hook in quite a few clever ways. For example, there's just one section in the snow level where there's one of those spinny doors, and you have to use your grappling hook to maneuver it the way you want to go. I don't know what it is about it, but it's stylistically pleasing in so many ways. It's not quite N64 graphics, but it's also not quite modern gaming. It's this cozy little sweet spot in the middle. The best way to describe it is Steam Light. Not to mention its animations are just so squishy. The fact the game is called a demo certainly gives it hope of being completed, though as of right now there's no full release. At least not that I could find. I know they've made Orbo's Odyssey, which is effectively the game's pseudo-successor, following one of the recurrent characters in the Peep demo, but it's a very different feel. It's still surreal and has that art style I like, but it's very different, focusing more on precision platforming with dashes and air jumps, and just isn't as Peep. And that's all anyone could really ask for. Number 3. Little Red Live from My First Game Jam Winter 2021. Taking place 10 years after Little Red Riding Hood, the game has you play as, well, Little Red Riding Hood. As you return to the forest your grandmother died in to honor her, only to learn from a talking cat that not only is your grandmother apparently alive and well, but the wolf is too, and has since become an abomination which you are determined to kill so you can save your grandma. Now I'll admit, the game's a little clunky and some of the animations are off, but as the contest's name suggests, this was the developer's first Game Jam game, and I kinda want to see it come back. As you travel, you find that your grandmother's house is filled with scratches from the inside, and as you go about collecting items to complete puzzles, you'll find that your grandmother was a witch and was trying to create a potion of confinement to seal the wolf away for good, which you must now complete to avenge her. Upon successfully completing the potion, you'll hear your grandmother's voice from behind the sealed cave, claiming that by creating the potion, you've killed the wolf and successfully freed her, which lets you choose between the options of freeing her or running away with the cat. A lot of the puzzles are pretty bare bones thanks to time constraints, especially the potion puzzle, which is literally just one of those logic puzzles your substitute teacher would give you to pad out the class time. Plus, I feel like having the cat really diminishes the ending, as they have the cat basically tell you everything rather than let you figure it out for yourself, which is disappointing, but there is one interesting thing with the cat. At the start of the game, they say our grandmother is alive, but when we get there, we learn she's likely dead, and then the cat proves she died, so why did they lie about that? If we ever get a more expanded game, I'd either love to see the cat get cut in favor of more mystery that the player could figure out, or have the cat have a more interesting role. If an expansion gave more endings, it'd be cool to have multiple routes, like maybe stealing away the cat, or following the cat only to find they're evil too, or knowing the cat's evil and outsmarting them. Or maybe the cat isn't evil, it's just a misunderstanding, and us not trusting them leads to various bad endings. And that's on top of various wolf routes that can happen. Maybe we can not only steal the wolf away, but also have routes where we try to side with the wolf and get offerings or something, only for this to be a terrible mistake. Or more appearances of Grandma where we can be deceived, or even Grandma's ghost. There's a lot of ways you can take this, and I hope there's a chance we see it someday. Number 2. Go Hamster Chef for the N64 Style Graphics Jam number 2. Jesus, that's a mouthful. This game was the main inspiration behind this video, because I want more. Go Hamster Chef has you playing as a hamster named Hamtaro, as he decides to begin a food delivery service in his little town. As you make orders for Hopper and Benjamin, you'll soon find them requiring ingredients that just aren't around. But lucky for you, Hopper knows of an area in the back of the woods that their old Irish hop pop said not to go to. Usually it's blocked off by a bear, but even bears need breaks. So you go in to get some specialty onions to find that the forests are haunted by Missing No from Pokemon Red and Blue. Either way, you get your onions, wake up the next day to cook, and eventually you get another recipe you can't make. This one requiring mushrooms. Going to Hopper again, turns out Hop Pop found out you went back there and ran into the forest, not having come back yet. Venturing back there, both in search of Hop Pop and mushrooms, you find both! Hooray! Stuffing the corpse mushrooms into your mouth pouch, you're given some dialogue from Hamtaro telling you that the body has to be at least months old. Huh, I guess before taking up culinary arts, Hamtaro was a mortuary assistant. Quickly returning, you inform Hopper of the news, which he refuses to acknowledge, saying that we didn't know him like he did, and that he'll come back. On the last day, we get an odd message from Benjamin telling us to come to his house. But once we make it there, we are chased by a distorted version of him as the fog goes red and we are forced to flee as the entire town seeks to corrupt us. Escaping, the game ends with Missing No appearing and a jump scare. I feel like other than the ending, the whole game is great and has a fantastic idea around it. It has a fun gameplay loop, the graphics are adorable, there's nice attention to detail, the chase sequence is alright, and of course, I'm glad they didn't go down the stereotypical route of cute characters committing cannibalism. But the whole evil glitch thing just doesn't fit. There's nothing that really gives it that theme. Like, if we had more spooky glitches beyond Missing No just showing up, then maybe the build-up would be better? Though ever since I watched Manly Badass Hero play it, I've been extra disappointed by the ending because the ending I thought would happen just felt better. You see, at the start of the game, you make your first meal for yourself, and when Hopper asks you to bring it to them instead, you decide to become a chef, and the character says, "I don't need to eat today, I'm stuffed with entrepreneurial spirit." This unfortunately is just a throwaway line, but I totally thought this would go down the route of obsessing over your goals to the point you don't care for yourself, and projecting your bad decisions as the fault of others. Especially given we never eat throughout the game's 5 days, and we put the ingredients into our cheek pouch. It would have been so cool if Hamtara's obsession with their new business, and not having time to eat anything themselves, slowly starves them, and eventually makes them grow to despise the very townspeople he seeks to please. Especially given that the game starts with Hopper effectively making you give the food you made for yourself to him, with it maybe building up to either pulling a Lacey and making the most vile thing imaginable, or Hamtaro breaking and completely isolating themselves, much to the confusion of the townspeople. Point being, like everyone else, I think this game is outstanding and deserves a continuation of some kind. Whether that's my idea for the ending or sticking to its Missing No roots, it'd sure be a blast to see should the dev decide to expand it. And for our number 1 spot, Homegrown Pet for the Virtual Pet Jam. Homegrown Pet has a pretty simple concept. You have a small blobby pet and have 60 seconds to feed it as much as you can to shape it into the perfect body disposal companion, as you are playing as a nondescript assassin. You can feed your pet a variety of things: steak, jerky, carrots, human flesh, sweets. There's lots of options. Vegetables aren't very nutritious and won't aid to their form. Meats will help them grow quickly, but too quick and you'll get yourself an eldritch abomination on your hands. Give them human flesh and their form will become more humanoid, and give them sweets to make them more docile. The game has quite a lot of endings, in part due to its simple gameplay loop, but what if it had more? We know we're an assassin, so what if we had multiple targets and have to try and gear our food intake to what best suit the exact environment we need to take them out each day, while still keeping a low profile? Maybe we have to lean more towards specific meats, like fish, so they can help dispose of a target that you have to assassinate on their yacht. Or maybe you have to give them beef, but also have to give them lots of vegetables so they can graze and fit in at a farm-like environment. You can also go another way with this, having several different types of blobs that vary greatly in their forms and personality, thus allowing for more of the quick gameplay loop and easy endings the game is known for. But even so, I'd easily say that this game deserves itself a full release and the number 1 spot on this list. So anywho, what are your thoughts? Are there any Game Jam games you think deserve a full release? Post them down below. There's plenty of awesome games out there. Either way, this was Spice from CutCafe, and I hope to see you around. Peace!